Welcome, everyone. We're thrilled to introduce you today to the Burn Book architecture. This presentation will offer a technical teardown of what we define as a multi-surface deep learning curriculum. As you can see on the slide, the visual encapsulates this concept. On one side, we have the theoretical and foundational mathematics, representing the deep knowledge often found in textbooks. On the other, we have the practical, interactive terminal environment, symbolizing the hands-on application and computational aspects vital for deep learning. We aim to explore how these different surfaces, from abstract theory to practical implementation, are architected to form a cohesive and effective deep learning educational framework. Our focus here is on delivering a comprehensive deep learning curriculum. At its core is the Burn Book, a 147-page PDF. This Burn Book serves as a self-paced learning course specifically designed for the Burn Deep Learning Framework. Currently in its minimum viable product, or MVP, phase, this project is dedicated to exploring and implementing modern delivery mechanisms. The objective is to transform that static 147-page PDF into a truly interactive and runnable educational experience, moving beyond traditional documents to offer dynamic learning through code environments, web-based interfaces, and rich analytical displays. This slide illustrates our 9-module learning arc, designed to guide you through a comprehensive journey in machine learning. We begin with the dollar section, colored in blue. Module 0, Intro and Setup, establishes the necessary environment. This leads into Module 1, Basic Workflow, where fundamental concepts are introduced. Module 2, Building Blocks, then delves into the core components you'll use. Moving into $1, highlighted in purple, we build directly upon the foundations. Module 0, Performance, focuses on optimizing your models. Module 04 teaches custom training loops for more control over the training process. Module 05 covers saving and loading models, a crucial aspect of practical application, followed by Module 06, Onyx Import, which explores model interoperability. Finally, we reach the $1 section, shown in pink. Here, Module 07, Pre-trained Models, dives into leveraging existing advanced architectures. This culminates in Module 08, simply titled Advanced, which explores cutting-edge techniques and further specialized topics. It is important to note that every module within this learning arc features explicit learning objectives, runnable walkthroughs, practical exercises, and comprehensive reference solutions, ensuring a robust and interactive learning experience. We've implemented 3 distinct delivery surfaces to cater to various user preferences and access needs. Crucially, the curriculum content, residing in $1, serves as a single source of truth, dynamically routed into each of these purpose-built execution environments. Our first surface is the TUI, or Terminal User Interface. This is located in the $1 directory and powered by the Ratatouille Terminal app. Its primary purpose is to allow users to browse modules and track their progress entirely within a familiar terminal interface. Next, we have our web surface, built from the $1 and $1 directories. It leverages an Axum server combined with MDBook. This surface provides browser-based reading, static site navigation, and ensures seamless mobile access, making the content accessible from any web-enabled device. Finally, the desktop surface, found in the $1 directory, utilizes a Tori 2 shell. This offers a unified split-window environment, combining the course material on the left with an integrated xterm.js terminal on the right. This setup provides a powerful, self-contained learning experience directly on the user's desktop. This layered approach ensures flexibility and broad accessibility, all while maintaining consistency and ease of maintenance from a single, centralized content source. This image presents the architecture of the Tori 2 desktop shell. A key design principle is the ability to display 2 distinct rendering surfaces within a single application window. As shown, the left pane is dedicated to HTML content, functioning as an HTML rendering surface. Alongside it, the right pane hosts a terminal emulator, facilitated by a web-capable PTY bridge. Tori 2 serves as the desktop shell, coordinating these 2 environments, an HTML rendering surface, and an interactive web-capable terminal, all unified within one application. Here we delve into the mechanics of the left pane, focusing on our embedded Axum server. Critically, our desktop application does not rely on local file protocols. Instead, it spawns an entirely self-contained Axum server on a background thread to efficiently deliver the curriculum content. Let's walk through this process. It begins with a background Tokio runtime, which is responsible for spawning this server in process. This server then attempts to bind to port 3000, with a fallback range from 3001 to 3009 if the primary port is unavailable. Once active, this server directly accesses the local file system, specifically the content located at $1. Finally, the left web view then serves this pre-built MDBook content directly from our embedded Axum server, ensuring a smooth and self-sufficient user experience. This slide addresses a key architectural decision: why we chose to embed a server. On our balance scale, we're weighing an embedded Axum server against the Tori Asset Protocol. Our decision leaned heavily towards embedding an Axum server, and for good reason. This approach ensures correct same-origin behavior, provides full service worker compatibility, and critically requires no path rewriting. While this option does add approximately 200 kilobytes to the binary size, the resulting latency is negligible, making it a worthwhile trade-off for the significant benefits gained. The underlying rationale is that MDBook generates a full static site, complete with relative links, a JavaScript search index, and theme toggles. Serving such a site via standard HTTP within an iframe guarantees flawless execution. This eliminates the need for heavy custom path rewrites, simplifying development and ensuring a robust user experience. Today, we're diving into the mechanics of the write pane, specifically focusing on what we call the PTY bridge. This diagram illustrates the data flow from the underlying shell to what you see on your screen. It all begins with the von, which spawns either a standard login shell or executes a specific command, like von signal. Once ready, these bytes are passed to von. Here, the raw data is encapsulated as a base64 encoded bridge, ready for transmission to the front end. Finally, these processed events are sent to the von, which is responsible for rendering the full terminal interface you interact with. A key architectural decision here, highlighted at the bottom, is that the Rust backend performs zero terminal parsing. It strictly serves as a bridge, directly funneling raw PTY bytes into the WebView layer. This approach is critical to prevent any data loss, especially during the initial startup phase, when complex terminal sequences and escape codes are frequently transmitted. Our architectural decision to utilize xterm.js for terminal emulation is rooted in several key advantages, particularly when leveraging the Tari framework. On the left, we highlight one. By choosing xterm.js, we inherently leverage Tari's existing WebView engine, avoiding the overhead of introducing an entirely new rendering stack. This approach benefits from xterm.js's mature escape sequence handling, which is crucial for a robust terminal experience. Furthermore, it provides native support for advanced features like Sixel graphics and ligatures, enriching the visual fidelity of the terminal. Crucially, accessibility is built in, inheriting the rich accessibility features of modern web platforms. Conversely, on the right, we identify one that would arise from using a native terminal widget. This approach would necessitate bridging two independent rendering surfaces, the native widget and the WebView, creating significant complexity. This often leads to complex Z-order management issues, where different UI elements struggle to draw correctly on top of each other. Most critically, it introduces the risk of input focus fighting between widgets, resulting in a frustrating and unreliable user experience, where keyboard input might not consistently go to the intended component. Given that Tari already embeds a comprehensive browser engine, xterm.js provides the most pragmatic and robust terminal emulation. It integrates seamlessly without introducing the severe UI compositing conflicts and operational complexities that a native widget approach would entail. This slide provides an overview of the key system consequences arising from our design choices. In the top left, we have the concept of $1. This means the Burnbook desktop executable bundles everything required to run, providing a single comprehensive package. Moving to the top right, we highlight $1. A direct benefit of this architecture is that zero external server processes are required, simplifying deployment and operation. In the bottom left, we address $1. This mechanism is crucial for managing the inherent startup race conditions between the Tokio bind operation and the WebView load, ensuring a smooth application launch. Finally, in the bottom right, we note the consequence of $1. Our chosen iframe and fetch approach necessitates disabling the Content Security Policy, or CSP, which is a trade-off in our internal security posture. In summary, the combination of an embedded server and a web-based PTY ultimately yields a highly portable executable. However, this architecture inherently requires specific startup sequencing, which is handled by our retry loops, and leads to these relaxed internal CSP rules. This slide details the essential developer workflow commands used in this project, which streamline various development and build processes. First, // allows you to build the project's book and serve it via Axum at // providing a quick way to preview documentation or content. Related to this, // launches an MD Book live reload development server, perfect for real-time content authoring. For user interface development, // runs the text user interface in release mode. If you're working on the full application, // launches the desktop application, which integrates both the book content and a terminal environment. To prepare for deployment or local execution, // builds the release binaries and installs them to your // directory. Finally, // is a comprehensive command that runs all tests, performs linting checks, and builds the book, ensuring code quality and consistency across the project. In essence, this project leverages a centralized task runner to significantly streamline the build process across all 3 delivery surfaces, ensuring efficiency and consistency in our development workflow. Our migration plan involves transitioning from our current architecture, which relies on $1 and $1. This setup, while functional, comes with several limitations. We have only limited SIXL support, no synchronized output capabilities, and only basic handling for terminal resizing. The target architecture for this migration introduces $1. This new approach offers significant advantages. It extracts Ghosty's emulation as a robust C library, enabling native performance. Furthermore, it incorporates GPU rendering for improved visual fidelity and delivers superior VT compatibility. While $1 serves as an adequate MVP for now, our long-term roadmap is to replace the entire right pane's emulation layer with Ghosty's core renderer. This slide highlights the tool chain blocker, a significant hurdle in our current development. We are undertaking a migration that requires a complete replacement of our PTY management system. The core issue is a hard version incompatibility, preventing critical components from working together. On the left, we have the Burn Book toolchain, built with Zig version 0.16. On the right, we depend on the One library, which requires Zig version 0.15. This specific version mismatch between our project's Zig toolchain and these necessary library bindings currently blocks the entire migration. As a result, our progress on the PTY management overhaul is completely halted. This slide outlines our post-migration target architecture, detailing the composition of our application's display. On the left, we have the MDUC pane, which represents our content rendered within a web view, utilizing a standard HTML structure for presentation, including elements like H1, H2, H3, and H4. This pane will continue to handle our rich, document-oriented content. The right pane introduces a significant architectural evolution, a direct native compositor. This area will leverage high-performance native graphics APIs, specifically Metal or OpenGL, to create a dedicated composite surface. This shift is crucial for enhancing performance, as explained in the text below. Once the necessary Zig dependencies are fully aligned, we will completely remove the existing xterm.js component. The application will then directly paint terminal data into this high-performance native graphics surface. This native surface will be seamlessly composited alongside the web view, ensuring a fluid and integrated experience while dramatically improving the responsiveness and efficiency of terminal interactions within the application. This slide highlights that our work is fundamentally built on robust open-source foundations. On the left, we have the Burn Book MVP codebase, which is licensed under MIT. On the right, we feature the Burn Deep Learning Framework, available under both Apache 2.0 and MIT licenses. To clarify, the Burn Book desktop application itself is an exploratory open-source minimum viable product, specifically designed to accelerate the adoption of native Rust deep learning workflows.